And just like that, I come back to make a video. What does it take to get BFG to do a video? It's got to take moves of astronomical proportions, apparently, for me to come back and make just a simple video. I would be, I don't know, I wouldn't feel very good about not making a video given the state of current events. And to tell you the truth, it's gotten increasingly hard over the last couple of years, just saying the same things over and over and over again, and repeating this machine of despair, just this product of insanity, over and over and over again, without changing anything, without doing anything different, and getting the same results. And eventually it just gets to the point where it's like, why put yourself through the pain? Why put yourself through the time and the effort if they're not going to do it? Then why in the hell are you? That was my thought process before. Granted, there's been a lot of things that have changed with me. A lot of them I've pretty much been able to document. I don't even remember the last time I did a video, to be honest with you. There's been a lot of things that have happened even since the last time I made a video. But I'm glad that I'm back and doing this. Luckily, I was able to scrounge up my old webcam and my microphone, and I don't have any of my lighting stuff here, so the lighting's really piss poor. You'll have to forgive me on that. But I was like, this is a situation that it's just gonna, we're more interested in hearing what it is that I have to say as opposed to whether or not I am YouTube appropriate visually. But there's been a lot of things that have gone on. To catch you up to speed a little bit on what's going on with your boy, without going into too much detail, because that's not the type of person that I am. Things are going really, really well. Really, really well. I've honestly given reflection where I was a year and a half ago. I was not in a very, very good situation, personally, financially, professionally, but I did not despair. I had some really good people that were around me. I had some good family that was around me that helped support me through that whole situation. And thank God, man, the power of networking. That's really the secret, in my honest opinion, to getting back on your feet and doing something that you enjoy doing is networking. Getting yourself in a situation to where you're not willing to really turn anything down, but you're willing to look into all kinds of different possibilities. And that's pretty much what landed me where I am right now. And the situation that I'm in right now, I've been at it for over a year. It's been about a year and 3 months. And I without tooting my own horn, and I'm not somebody who normally does that, for those of you who know me personally, I'm not somebody who toots his own horn. But I've done really, really well. And I have made a little bit of a name for myself. And to be absolutely honest with you, nothing makes me more nervous than the situation that I'm in now. Because I don't want it to be the peak and have it all go downhill from here. So you just got to continue to work hard. And unfortunately, working hard requires a lot of long hours. A lot of long hours. I spend a lot of time on the road. I spend a lot of time in coffee shops and libraries. A lot of time on construction sites, and I'm working. I'm working, and next thing I know, I come home, I grab something to eat, I fire out a couple emails, and catch up on a couple things that I need to tie up from the rest of the day, and next thing I know, it's 10 o'clock, and I got to be back up at 6. So your time flies by really, really quickly, and that's good, because that means you're busy. When you're busy, things are going well, and when things are going well, you're making money. So that's what I'm doing. So I haven't had a whole lot of time, to be absolutely honest with you, to spend watching this last season of football. There has been time. I have access to all the games, but to be absolutely honest with you, I don't want to take what very precious little off time that I have in a big, huge bowl of depression or frustration and then go back to work. Because that's what this franchise has been here in the last 2 years. Especially this last season, I've seen a couple of halves, a couple of quarters, and it's just like I rub my head. It's like, man, why do I do this? Why do I do this? Before I got this job, I was working And another really, really, really fun job. It was actually pretty awesome. I loved the job. It didn't pay much, but I loved it. And it afforded me all kinds of time. I was spending all kinds of time watching film. I was watching a lot of game film, not only on the professional level, but I was doing a lot of it on the collegiate level. That was back when we were looking for defensive tackles. And I was looking at all the major prospects, and I put out a lot of videos on that stuff. And I was doing a lot more videos back then, and I had a lot more time on my hands. But all that notwithstanding, it's the exact polar opposite is what's going on right now. The exact polar opposite. Everything I'm doing right now is focused on my career, which has taken over a majority of my time. But with that being said, I have been keeping up to speed on several podcasts. Like I said, I spend a lot of time on the road. And really what it is that I do when I'm on the road is I listen to a lot of podcasts. Or I will plug in some videos off YouTube, very specific people that I follow. A couple of you guys that I'll mention right now, I definitely follow everything that On the Warpath does. I follow everything that Louis T does. And there's a couple other individuals out there that I follow as well. But that's how I kind of keep up to speed on everything that's going on with my team. Per se. So with all that being said, there's been a lot that's going on. There's been a huge campaign the last couple of years of individuals who have really, really wanted Bruce Allen to be fired, wanted him to be gone, and it was questionable as to whether that was going to happen because of the standing that he had with our owner. Huge friends with the owner, and I had called into the Louis T. show a couple times when he was live. And I had, small little discussions with him discussing this very topic. And a lot of us were worried that Dan was going to be around for another year. And then lo and behold, last week happens. And now we are looking at pretty much Bruce Allen being gone after 10 years of servitude into this organization with nothing to show for it, really. But according to him, a damn fine culture and a losing record. I have never been one to think and raise the banner of the firing of Bruce Allen. I to be honest with you, you never heard me campaign for him to be fired. You never ever heard me talk about how he was going to be the magical solution to the success of this franchise was the releasing of one Bruce Allen. Because I've been saying it for a while now, he's not the problem. He's a part of the problem. But the big part of the problem has been our owner. And you can't get rid of the owner. And even though it's banging your face up against a brick wall to get a very young owner to give up his team, Dan's not giving up the team. Dan's not going anywhere. Dan's going to outlive you and I. That's pretty much the way he's definitely going to outlive me. Okay, I think he's younger than me. He's a hell of a lot richer than me and has a lot more access to professional health care than I do. So he's going to be around for a much, much longer stretch on this earth than I ever will be. So I will die knowing only two owners of this franchise, and one of them I loved and the other one I've absolutely despised. But that doesn't mean that I can't just bang my head up against a brick wall anyway, because I'm stubborn like that. To want the actual ousting of an owner that has brought nothing but despair and lethargy into this organization, I realize it's an impossibility. But, part of being a Redskins fan is bashing your face up against a brick wall, is it not? That's what we do. And it's very interesting to see the ousting of a man who, given the parade that was given to Bruce Allen when we first hired him, and the whole mess of the situation that was Vinny Serrato when he left, bringing in a Bruce was, he was supposed to be the answer to our solution then, and here we are 10 years later, and we can't wait for the guy to get out. The only thing that I will say about Bruce Allen and his ousting is I am worried that Bruce was the cap to the craziness that is Dan Snyder. And now that stopgap is not there, what is it really going to be like? I mean, I don't have a very high opinion of Bruce Allen, but Bruce Allen, I'll tell you right now, I have a feeling that Bruce Allen was very, very good at his job. And his job may not have been to usher in wins to this organization, but I have a really sneaky suspicion that the politicking that is done and the glad handling that is done by a man who's very, very good at it, you don't really know the power that an individual has like that over your organization until he's gone, until he no longer has power in that organization, and then the floodgates come off, and then you really get to see how bad it is. I mean, honestly, that's kind of what I'm waiting for. I really hope that it's not as bad as that. I hear a lot of different rumors coming out of Redskins Park right now. I hear that Dan's not even he's relenting to some other organization that's telling him what to do, and I don't know. I think a lot of this is just clickbait, to be absolutely honest with you. It was nice to see that Daniel Snyder did come out with a statement. It's nice to know that there's somebody behind the curtain in the land of Oz. Even though we know he's there, we haven't seen him in a long while, so we pay attention to what's in front of the curtain. But now that Bruce is gone, we are making some very, very impressive moves. I have to admit, I had questions like, who is the owner of this franchise? Is it Dan Snyder? Did he give it up to a fan? A fan that knew that he was doing? Because this is what a fan would do. This is what somebody with true love and knowledge of football would do to an organization like this. They would get rid of the general manager / president. They'd bring in a brand new head coach, somebody who has NFL credentials and is a very, very good head coach and can bring some culture into this football franchise and has a fairly decent track record and is a former player. All of those things fit in line. And when you find out that Rivera is your new head coach, it's like, oh my gosh, how are we able to get this guy? Because we were looking at college coaches. A lot of people were talking about a college coach coming in here. And that was just a laundry list of clickbait that came from out of nowhere. And that happens every single year, to be honest with you. Who's going to be the new Redskins head coach? Last 2 years was like that. But now that Ron Rivera is here, last night I got the news that Jack Del Rio is our defensive coordinator. And I was like, whoa, Jack Del Rio. Wow, Jack Del Rio. And he's talking about bringing back the 4-3. I'm a bit skeptical on the 4-3. I'm excited only from the perspective that I feel that Deron Payne would survive and do a lot better in a 4-3 scheme than he would have in a 3-4. I honestly think that our other defensive linemen are going to be just as good at what it is that they do. And I'm really, really glad that we did not go with a really, really big first-round draft selection at a big, big defensive tackle, the ones that I've always wanted to get in there in a 3-4. I'm really glad we didn't invest in that. If we would have got that kid out of University of Washington last year, then going back to a 4-3 would not have been a really good move. And there's a lot of people that are gonna herald the big 4-3. It doesn't matter to me. I like the idea of concentrating a little bit more on defensive tackles as opposed to throwing all kinds of linebackers at the solution, which is what you do in a 4-3 or what you do in a 3-4 defense. But Jack Del Rio coming in here as defensive coordinator. Jack Del Rio is a successful defensive coordinator for any football franchise that he touches. He's like a Greg Williams that way. And there's a lot of us that have mentioned that. There's some videos that I've heard where people have talked about Jack Del Rio and Greg Williams in the same breath. And it's true. I can support that. Jack Del Rio is a very, very good defensive coordinator. He's probably a better defensive coordinator than he is a head coach. And I think he's good at both. I'm just surprised. I like that we have him. Question is, how much longer is he going to want that position? Because I think he's one of those coordinators that would much rather be a head coach. He always strives to be one. But if I was picking, I would want Jack Del Rio as a defensive coordinator under a really good head coach. And now we've got that. We've got a great defensive coordinator. Now all we need is an offensive coordinator. And we need a lot of personnel, which you're going to start seeing some of that getting filled in here in this offseason. There's rumor that we are taking a look at Louis Riddick, who could very well be our general manager. I like the idea of a Louis Riddick as a general manager. It's a bit high of a position for a guy like him, but if you're talking about what I have been talking about this whole time, I would be remiss if I did not necessarily like the idea of a Louis Riddick as a GM, because I've been saying it for years. You need to get a good talent evaluator in there. Now I'm going to go on the mark here and just say one thing. I know Louis Riddick on ESPN, and there's not too many of those guys on there that I agree with, and Louis Riddick is one of them. There were some things that Louis Riddick would say about talented football players in the NFL, and I did not completely agree with him at all. He's seeing something completely different than what I'm seeing, especially when it comes to players that I know, players that I have scouted, players that I have watched a lot of film on. and I would come away with something completely different than he did. And that doesn't mean that he can't do his job. That doesn't mean that I know exactly what it is I'm talking about and he doesn't. It's just I would not see what it is that he's saying. And that's fine. But at the very, very end of the day, regardless of whether I agree with him or not, I could care less as to whether we see eye to eye on things. All I care about is that he is a talent evaluator. Somebody who can watch game film and say yay or nay. Somebody who can watch game film and say, you know what, this guy's got potential. Bring somebody in here, we can coach them up, and we can have them work a certain scheme, because I see a lot of potential in somebody that nobody else sees potential in. That's how a lot of these organizations do really, really well in the league, is they see this talent, they get it for really, really cheap, and then they bring it up and they make them into Pro Bowl football players. That's what every team should be doing. That's what they're striving to do. That's what's really, really hard about being in the league, is just trying to make that happen. It's easier said than done. So I'm willing to throw crap on the wall and see if it sticks with a guy like Louis Riddick, because at the very end of the day, at least I know he's a talent evaluator as opposed to a politician who's going to go in and glad handle a bunch of people and pump people up and shake people's hands, but not know what the hell he's talking about when it comes to X's and O's. A general manager, I don't care if he's about the brotherhood aspect of it. I really don't. To him, it needs to be X's and O's football. It needs to be what's on film. And I think he's got the ability to do that. So I'm really, really happy to find out that Louis Riddick could very well possibly be a general manager situation for us. And hats off to Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs is still a mover and shaker in this organization. Rumor has it, and I got this off Louis T's channel after watching it today, that Joe was a big part of that because Joe's stationed out of Charlotte. And being that he's close to Carolina, he had sort of that pipeline to old Ron Rivera. And was very instrumental in getting Ron Rivera in Washington, and is now looking at getting Louis Riddick in here as a general manager. I think that's great. If that's true, if Joe is doing that, thank God that Joe is still with us to be able to do that. I think that if there's anybody out there, the only person that our owner is going to listen to is his idol and his God, and that is Joe Gibbs. And Joe Gibbs isn't who's God. He should be everybody's God, as far as I'm concerned. I've prayed to him many times. I still do, but I digress. There is the rumor of the coaching kerfuffle that's going on right now. Taking a look at one of the articles I was reading online, Rivera's kept our offensive coordinator so far. Kevin O'Connor, running backs coach, Randy Jordan, our special teams coordinator, weightlifting coach. Those guys, I think, were getting interviewed today, so still questionable as to whether they'll have their jobs here in the incoming weeks. We did lose Ike Hilliard. We did lose Bill Callahan. We did lose Tom Sula. We did lose Greg Minuski. Those were all casualties of this situation here. That just comes with a coaching change and a general manager change. That I think is not a big surprise to anybody. I think that we need a breath of fresh air in here. I was questioning as to whether we were going to be able to develop a lot of the talent that we had currently on our football team. Guys like Montez Sweat, who has a tremendous amount of talent to play at the next level. The former coaching staff was just not able to unlock it. He showed signs, I think, at the very end of getting a little bit better, but that guy has a lot of potential to be so much better. And if he has a coordinator and a defensive ends coach that can show him technique, especially when it comes to his hands, he really needs massive hand technique. He needs a lot of work in that area. But I'd love to see guys like him do really, really well. I gotta tell you, I don't necessarily know. Is this new coaching organization going to be backing our current quarterback situation and Dwayne Haskins 100%? I would assume that they are, but there's not really been any official word that's been said. It'd be very interesting to see Ron Rivera's press conference and him addressing that very issue, because there's been the question as to whether we're going to stick with Dwayne Haskins in this draft with the number 2 pick overall. Who are we going to go with? To be quite frank with you, I don't think you are looking for another quarterback. I'm not looking for another quarterback out of the draft. There's no way. You've got to go with the guy that you spent your first-round draft pick on last year. You've got to be able to get something out of that. To draft another quarterback, you're basically taking a first-round draft pick and throwing it away. I hate throwing away draft picks, let alone a first-round draft pick. You may as well go and buy a C-class car and just drive it into a telephone pole as soon as you take it off the lot. It makes about as much sense, to be honest with you. And I think Dwayne has shown a lot of potential. I'm not a big fan of Dwayne Haskins. I don't have a whole lot of faith in Dwayne Haskins, but I will admit he has shown me that these last couple of games that he's played in, he's shown me some very impressive growth. So there's potential that's there. I'm just concerned about us keeping him healthy. And I didn't think he'd make it the whole season without getting hurt. And technically, he hasn't made it the whole season without getting hurt. He did get hurt at the end. But all that notwithstanding, there's the rumor of Trent Williams coming back. I think we need to get back on our hands and knees and pray a little bit more about that situation. I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen. And to be quite frank with you, I have all kinds of respect for Trent Williams. I really, really do. All kinds of respect for Trent. And I would love to have Trent get a second shot in the NFL. He's going to get a second shot in the NFL. But I got to tell you, as a coach, as an owner, as a general manager, once you turned your back on this team, I can't use you. I don't care who you are. I don't care. I can't win with you. So if you're willing to take off your helmet and say no more, put your jersey away, I will not have anything else to do with this organization until things are done my way, and then you relent and do that, I'm sorry, but if I'm going to do that, I'm going to do it because of the betterment of my football team. I'm not going to do it because of, a 30-year-old left tackle. That's just, I'm not going to do it. I would make all those changes to my medical staff. I'd make all those changes to my weightlifting crew, my nutrition crew, my offensive coordinators, and then I'd move on from Trent Williams. That's what I would do. I'd take a look at my second and third round pick. I'd be looking for a left tackle, to be honest with you, and I'd be looking for that second round pick. So, all that notwithstanding, the big question becomes, who do you take out of the second pick overall? I've been watching a little bit of film on this kid out of Ohio State. I like him. I may come out with a later video. I probably will come out with a later video on him. I got to do a little bit of research on that kid, though, before I make a yay or nay, thumbs up or thumbs down scenario with him. But back to the organizational situation. I like where we're going. I like where we're going. One thing I will say before I leave, and this is a note of caution to all of our Redskin fans out there. For those of you that could hear the sound of my voice, for those of you that have clicked on this video and are watching, I would like to express a measure of patience to everybody. We don't have a whole lot of patience in DC. We don't have a whole lot of patience for coordinators. We don't have a whole lot of patience for coaches. We don't have a whole lot of patience for celebrity. We tend to come in here, and after a year or two, we are looking to get them replaced and ousted. You are talking about an organization that is really, really good at open heart surgery on a routine basis, and that's not good. That is not good. That sucks. You don't want to go through any open heart surgery. You want to avoid open heart surgery as much as humanly possible, but to completely gut your coaching staff and your president and your general manager, that's open heart surgery. That's a big, big deal. And the request by Redskin fans is, we not only want you to go through open heart surgery, but we want you to run a 5K marathon 6 months after. And we want you to win it all. Okay. Given the success of some of these coaches that have gone on to different organizations and have done really, really well, that's the expectation level. That can't be our expectation level. We have so far, as of this video, we have pointed our compass in a very, very positive direction. We've got a good head coach that's coming here. We've got a good defensive coordinator that's coming here. Great defensive, one of the best in the league. And then we're going to be looking after a general manager. Maybe we'll be getting, somebody in here who's a good talent evaluator. We're pointing our compass into a positive direction. And if that's going to coalesce for us, you got to let the cake bake for a little bit before it can rise to the surface and become what it is that it's supposed to be. So you can forget about playoff talk and Super Bowl talk for at least the next couple of years. That's how it works. The only reason why I know that's how it works is because we've been through this before. I've been through this before, several times before. I've seen several open heart surgeries on this football team. And how well have we fared after? Not all that well. Realistically, not all that well. I have high hopes with this open heart surgery, as a lot of us do, and as a lot of us should. It's not something that I strive for. I don't like open heart surgeries, but sometimes they have to be done to clear out all the gunk that's in the arteries so that you can get blood flow to areas that need blood flow so that you can succeed and live longer. So a measure of caution, a measure of patience needs to be applied with this football franchise. We've got to give it room to bake, and we've got to give it a couple of seasons for it to coalesce and come together and really become what it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to become. So, having said that, I don't necessarily know if this is going to be a routine. This, as of right now, is probably not going to be too much of a routine thing, especially now that we're in the off season. Towards the end of the year, going into August and September, that is when I could possibly be looking at making routine videos. I don't necessarily know what my schedule is going to be like then. My project schedule bumps out until probably June and July right now. So come June and July, that's when I'll know what my fall and winter schedule will look like. So right now I have no clue. I do know my spring and my summer are jam-packed. I am swamped for the spring and the summer as far as my schedule goes. So not a whole lot of time for perusing through Redskins news and making videos like I did before. Although I have thought about putting together something for my car and doing videos in my car. I've thought about doing videos on the road through my hotel room because I travel a lot. I thought about doing that. That's a very real possibility. I've just got to find a much more economical and a safe way to pack a bunch of expensive equipment with me when I go and I do this, and that's something I don't quite have in my possession right now. So all that notwithstanding, guys, thank you very, very much for watching the video. Thank you very much for sticking with me and for keeping me around as long as you have. I don't care if you press like on this video. I don't care if you distribute this video. I don't make any money off it, and I don't care. So I'm the only YouTube video vid maker out there that says that. I would like to not promote myself. You don't have to smash like. You don't have to do any of that stuff. I don't give two damns about. YouTube can keep their corrupt liberal money. Anyways, that's going to do it for me. And it's going to be interesting to see what it is that we do. I'm very, very intrigued. Especially the next couple of weeks. Next couple of weeks are going to be very, very interesting. So you might see another video here once we start to coalesce a little bit more as an organization, a little bit more as a coaching staff and upper management level stuff. And I'll give you my opinions on that. And after that, we'll see. So thanks for sticking around. We'll talk to you guys later. Remember, us fans, the twin feather, we ride together. Redskins for life. Till next time.